podcast exploring the vast worlds of He-Man and She-Ra. Join Shawn and Matthew Duke as they discuss the history and mystery of Eternia and Etheria, diving deep into all incarnations of Masters of the Universe.
Hey, you know who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Now that you know, let's go. Get ready for the show. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Right now.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 106 of Legends of Grayskull, the fan podcast where we discuss the history, the mystery, and magic and mythology of He-Man, She-Ra, Eternia, Etheria, and Order of Primus, New Adventures, Old Adventures, Ladybird, UK Annuals, comics, mini-comics, anything and everything you can think of with that He-Man, She-Ra, Masters of the Universe, Princess of Power! That Mattel logo down the corner. I'm Matthew Duch, here again with Shawn Scavarna. Shawn, how are we doing today?
I am well. I'm Groot. No, sorry. No, I'm well. How are you, man?
I am good. I actually finally saw Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So,
yeah,
to derail or get us on a huge tangent, but it was enjoyable. So, I will say I think Guardians has the best. No, I will say it confidently. Guardians has the best self-contained series, if that makes sense.
I will agree with you on that.
You don't need any of the tie-ins. You don't need any of the crossovers. 1, 2, 3, boom. Iron Man couldn't do it. Captain America couldn't do it. Thor had some bumps, but like Guardians 1 through 3, it's its own series. Amazing. Yeah. Honestly, even if you want to look at Avengers, like Avengers doesn't work at all without everything else.
Yeah.
Like that's the crossover event movie.
Yep.
If you actually just look at Avengers like as a series of Avengers movies, like no, you can't do it.
Nope.
Guardians has the best series of movies in the MCU.
No. I agree. For my money, what blew my mind the most was how seamless it felt to go back to that franchise after, Volume 2 was out in, 2016, 2017, if I remember right?
Well before Endgame and all that, everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we have seen the Guardians cast in Infinity War and Endgame, and they even did the holiday special and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it blew my mind how I like sitting down to watch 3. I was like, I really feel like they didn't miss a beat reminding you how it feels to be here, and you felt like you're just a part of the crew in the third one almost. Like you're just one of the people hanging out nowhere with them now, and you're getting to see it at the daily routine and all that.
Yeah, and they got to full Guardians. They got Nowhere. They got Cosmo.
Yep.
They got and it's just. I'm also thinking we've talked at length on Off-World and here about the problems of Phase 4 and Marvel's kind of lack of direction. And thinking about it now, Guardians is one of those that. We know the blip was universal, but with them being off Earth, like they don't have to be caught up in all that, and they can just move on because they are the group of misfits anyway. Like they're not going to concern. They can barely get a Nowhere running. So they're not worried about the geopolitical stuff, which is really what's bogged me down on a lot of it in Phase 4.
Absolutely. I agree because number one, I know with our Off-World co-host Jesse, anytime that anything would say the blip, it made him cringe visibly every time because he hates that term for the snap or whatever you want to call it in Infinity War. And it was like, well, they basically they had that summation that Chris Pratt does in the elevator when they're in that world that's basically like a giant organic body or whatever the deal is, and he just sums it all up there. He's like, and then she came back and she's a dick and all that stuff. But I like that the way he summed it up was kind of like, that's all you need, and then just pick it up and keep going. Don't just keep going back to that moment, as we need to always go back to this and we're tethered to it for the rest of eternity. But,
that's about the only thing. Is obviously Gamora's death was the big point outside of their own movies, but like you said, between their explanation here and the holiday special, I think even if you had skipped, you would have at least been caught up, you know?
Yeah.
And honestly, I really liked that whole Quill Gamora dynamic, and how like it would have been so easy by the end of that movie for Gamora to become the Gamora that we had, because she's already done that transformation once. I guess slight spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but they don't do that. Like, and it's that whole thing we've talked about, like nature versus nurture and all that. Like, she's missed out on these experiences, so she can never truly be that Gamora again. You know, she might become, more like her, less like her, but, every choice you take defines who you are right now. And with her missing out on all that, it's not going to happen. And Quill coming to the realization of that was fabulous. Like, just that whole relationship, the way they handled it, and where the two characters got to by the end, I was like, well done. Because that would have been so easy to just be like, and at the end, they're in love again. And they took it where it should go instead of where it needed to or was easier to go.
That was something I wanted to bring up too. Is I applaud James Gunn for doing that. When it ended and I saw it in the theater, I actually was smiling a lot, because I really was hoping they wouldn't fall for that. And I feel like James Gunn is a better writer and director than just going the cliche of, oh, well, now she falls in love with him because, and he never once went there. And you can see sparks of her. Like, you could see sparks of the old her coming out in this version of her, but it was not enough to even remotely, all of a sudden, we're going to hurtle through all this other stuff to get there. But the other thing, too, I'm one of these people that when the first Guardians movie hit, I was really, like, impressed that Chris Pratt was doing a role like this, because up until that moment, he's either the dick usually, or he's the sidekick, or he's Andy on Parks and Rec, which, granted, Andy is one of my favorite characters on Parks and Rec.
Who started as the dick and became the lovable sidekick because everybody liked Chris Pratt so much. Like, he wasn't supposed to be on that show beyond first season. He was supposed to be the dick boyfriend who she dumps by the end of the first season, and that's it. But they loved Chris Pratt so much that they grew him there and made him a long-term part of the show.
Absolutely. And he was one of my absolute favorite characters next to Ron Swanson, honestly. Like, the two of them, every time they were on the screen, there was always something. Like, I still love that one moment where Leslie gets sick, and he goes, I looked it up online, and it says you might have network connectivity issues. It's one of my favorite moments.
That was improv too.
It was improv.
He made that up he was supposed to say something else, but I think it was supposed to actually like give symptoms, but because the computers weren't really hooked up, that's what came up, and he just ran with it.
And I think the writer was like, "What am I doing here? This guy could do this better than me," or whatever. I saw that online, and it killed me, because I was like, that when he did that on the show, I was howling and almost fell out of my seat laughing at that part. But the thing is, like, Guardians 1 had me going like, oh man, it's really cool. He's becoming a leading man now, and there is that kind of feeling of when you're following a guy in certain things, and then you see him now he's the head of this movie. You're like, that's awesome. But then pretty much every decision other than Guardians has made me not want to watch him and stuff, because it's like now he's become, I can't be that guy now. I can't go back. I have to be the next Schwarzenegger or whatever. Like, I need to take these roles that Chris Hemsworth is going to take now. And I need, and it's like, ever since he did that, I'm like, you're charmless and you lack everything good about who you were, and you're now trying to be an action figure, And then when I watched Guardians 3, he picked up right where he left off with Star-Lord, and it made me go, wait. I'm sorry. I do love you, but I love you as Star-Lord now, because it's the best of both worlds. You got action, you've even got the emotional range in this movie too. Yep. That's why at the end of the movie, with him coming to the realization with Gamora, he grew in the movie to realize this is where I am and this is where you are and all that stuff. But he can still pull off the comedy and stuff too. So yeah, I mean, out of anything Marvel's done probably in the last year-ish, maybe even 2 years, I think that was probably one of their best movies.
Oh, since Endgame. Oh,
yeah.
I mean, that's it is the best of post Endgame. For that reason, honestly, and I've said it before, like, I'm tired of everything having to be a part of something. Mm-hmm. Like, it was nice as Infinity War and Endgame were coming out, how everything was it's like you took all these things and they rolled up into this one, but like now you need to let everything breathe again. Like, you can't just keep having everything. Well, if you to finish the story of this TV show, you have to watch this movie, and to finish what started in this movie, you have to watch this movie, and you have to, like, just give me. You're already 3 hours long.
Yeah,
like give me a beginning, a middle, and an end that I can just enjoy. So
yeah.
Welcome to the MCU podcast,
Legends of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Legends of Nowhere podcast.
Well, that would work.
Legends of Nowhere podcast.
We could just talk about 3 movies forever.
Barna and the Dooch talk Star-Lord, Gamora, and Cosmo. I am Groot. Oh, sorry guys, I'm no Jeremy DeWitt.
That'll be my answer for everything for this point on in this episode. I am Groot.
This is a Masters of the Universe podcast. So let's get to some Masters. You get anything in this week, Shawn?
Ooh, yeah, I did actually. Let me go grab it.
Do you have it?
I have it
prepared?
1 second.
You know how our viewers hate when we walk off camera.
That would be only one person, and he doesn't watch us for any other reason than to just give us shit. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So Masters adjacent, and something that I've been really looking forward to. Co-host on Off-World, Jesse Arnold, was at PowerCon last weekend.
Correct.
Or not last weekend before last. Sorry. And because last weekend. Yeah, last weekend we got to watch the movie of the Have You Ever, and I'll tell you what, this is going to be a great episode Friday. And the weekend before that was when he was at PowerCon. So, but he did pick me up the Cosmic Legion's Operative 83, which this is the figure out of all of the Cosmic Legion's figures. When they announced it, I was like, okay, now I finally am interested in this line, and I'm in more than just bugs.
Yeah.
So I have not had a chance to open them, but he is freaking great. Now, you know what? I'm going to open them right here.
Open them
if I can get something to open them with. But anyway, how about you?
Yeah, I got... so after... Episode 105, Video Rental Rewind. Check it out right now, guys, if you haven't yet. I started browsing eBay, kind of looking at some old VHS tapes, and I have gotten one in thus far, and that was He-Man in the Masters Universe, the Magic Window, Volume 18. Couple of things. Number one, I love that it's got the you can own this previously viewed movie, now only $9.97. So when it was sold from the video store. They did throw on the back they threw an NR, no rating available sticker. Back in the 90s when everything was, they're starting to get ratings on everything, they would go through and sticker the things that didn't have ratings.
Yeah.
And on the side you got, remember the old category stickers?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Children.
Children. Little do they know.
It's awesome because it's like for this to be the first one to get in because this so embodies the video store.
Yeah.
I actually wasn't paying attention too much on the thing because I thought it was on a blue background, but it's actually got a blue clamshell, which means at some point the video store swapped out the clamshell.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually not the actual clamshell for this. For those of you who weren't around back in the day, and like I talked about on last episode's show, like you could actually pull out the insert here. And so that's what they did at some point and put in a new clamshell. And Shawn, with it being a former rental here, on the VHS itself, we've got our barcodes and we got our Be Kind,
Rewind.
smiley face sticker, if that's focusing at all. But yeah, it's so much. It's been so long since I've actually held a VHS in my hand, and there's so much history and memories coming back. You got the side sticker, so when it's popping out, you can see what it is.
Yep.
Oh, I've got to actually pick up an old VCR now. That's what I've decided because I want to actually watch some of these off of VHS. DVD's great, but there's always a little bit of nostalgia that's missing for me because it's a little too perfect. You know what I mean?
Well, even one of the jokes for people our age now is you hear the dial-up modem sound.
Yep.
And for some people, that's so foreign to them or alien to them because he never had to deal with that. For people like you and me, I'm sure there's that I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably it was followed by, welcome, you've got mail or something.
Yep.
Because I started off on America Online back in 97, I want to say, 96, 97. So, there's certain things that are tenets of the nostalgia. And one of them to me is you hear that VCR tape going into the player and that, and then you hear the whirring of when you hit play. And then when you rewind, you hear the whirring and all that. And there's that's still part of the nostalgia of that piece of, nostalgia that you're dealing with, the overall experience. So
exactly. And I should mention, so volume 18, obviously the covers got He-Man busting out of the gold there. That's because 2 adventures on this one, A Friend in Need, which is the very special episode, the drug episode with Ilena and Jarvan. And then the second episode is a beastly sideshow. So Tony Moore, I think this is very fitting that my first VHS to start off my collection of reacquiring these has a beastly sideshow on it. So that was pretty cool. And I didn't pay attention, honestly, because I don't have any at the moment. So I bought some. This was the first one to arrive. I didn't actually pay attention to what episodes were on at the time because it doesn't matter. The other thing I found interesting, Shawn, is so this is volume 18. I'll be curious once I get more of them to see kind of how they went as far as release, if they just released them randomly. Mm-hmm. I think even the Greatest Adventures of All, if I remember correctly, was volume 3 or something. It wasn't even volume 1. Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing I noticed on the back here was copyright, layout, and design 1986 RCA Columbia Pictures. So I didn't realize how far after the show had aired that they were actually releasing these videos. Mm-hmm. By 86, they were in second season of She-Ra. as far as actually producing.
Yeah.
So all of He-Man had aired already at that point. So that's kind of interesting. I just, as a kid, I never realized that they were releasing these videos so far after, because today's day and even in the 90s, like, stuff was coming out like boom, 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 maybe right after the season ended, but even some stuff as it got closer to 2000s, like I remember the reboot of Turtles was released, and it seemed pretty much like they'd air episodes and then the VHS would come out. They'd air episodes and the VHS would come out. Like, just all those things, just kind of interesting that I never realized. And one last thing, without going back to what we did before, but it was also amazing to look at the back of these, because you would get the usually 2, 3, 4 images. And those were like the clearest images you could get of the Filmation show, because same thing you're watching on TV or whatever, like you got that little bit of blurriness, and this was always like, this was our high def. Like, oh my God, I can actually see, like, look how clear those lines are and how amazing the backgrounds are and everything.
Well, that's why I was talking about the Panini sticker book, even, because that, again, like, if I had a day where the reception sucked, if it was a rainy day or a snowy day or something, it's like I might have seen the episode, but it might have been a little off or blurry. And then I look at that sticker book and I see those clean lines, and I know exactly what I was supposed to be watching, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And even with like Ow! Stop it, you two. Even yes, my gremlins are here today. Like in the early days of the org, I bought the recorded VHS set of all 130 episodes of He-Man off a guy. And I mean, that's all we're just recording them and sharing them with each other. And like some of those, because they were recorded off TV, because besides the video releases, which I gotta look up how many total there are, I think there's 18 might be it, honestly. There's not more than maybe 20, I don't believe. Beyond that, like, they were all off TV. So there were actually some episodes on there where it's like they are on there, but they're damn near unwatchable because of tracking or color or whatever. So it really wasn't until the DVDs came out that I really saw every episode.
Yep. So
got him. And
just wanted to follow up. So here is Operative 83 out of the box. The Manny Faces tribute.
Those colors are amazing.
The colors are gorgeous on this. I've heard there's been a lot of people that now that they get him in hand, they're like, I need 5 of these. I need 10 of these or whatever. I think I'm going to stick with one, but I love, like, even with the heroic head, which I love that they did the red for the eyes, and then, but you can even flip this down and give him a helmet. And I think that's awesome. On top of that, here's the monster face.
Oh,
there we go.
That might actually be the one I would display.
If I got a second one, I would do this. But I do like, I've always displayed Manny Faces with just his normal head, because that like star design around his eyes always made him more interesting. And then the robot face.
That's nice too.
With the clear plastic on top to give it that sci-fi vibe. And this one's okay. This one doesn't really do it for me the way that the other two do, but I am digging this. And like I said, I don't have every tribute for Masters, but I have the ones that I really wanted a lot. And so as of right now, like, I have Kronaw, Skeletor, and Kronaw, Adamon, Keltis, and now Operative 83. So my ranks are equal. Until they do something else that makes me go, oh crap, now I need this guy. But I even love the gun. I mean, that gun, it just works for me. As like, it's not Manny Faces to a T, but it just works.
No, but those colors are killer, and
definitely
It looks great, even if you have the weakest head on there. But
Okay, that's okay.
That's okay.
He can get powered up one way or the other. Actually, here, let me just do. Here we go. I want to put the monster head on just for the heck of it here. Come on, baby.
Swap heads.
This guy's tweet. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, I mean, one way or the other, it just works.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're killer. I don't think that's the hard thing too. It's like I don't think I would need 3 ever, but those are all 3 great heads. So it's like, what do you do?
Initially, I was tempted to do all 3, and number 1, cash, and number 2, I really just love those 2 heads the most. So I will probably just figure it out working with the one for now. So, but yeah.
Love it. Thank you to Jesse Arnold.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Dream.
He was in line and he goes, "Do you still want this?" I'm like, "Yeah, if you're willing." And I get the message. Got him. Can't take a picture. Everything's insane. No problem. No problem.
Oh, I love it.
So
yes, PowerCon 2 weeks ago. Neither of us went, obviously. Maybe someday. Maybe I might pop over for a day next year. I don't know. I can't see myself ever spending all 3 days there, but it might be good for a day trip. And Ohio's not that far away from me. We'll see. But we did get some cool reveals out of there, notably Mondo. So let's start looking at some stuff here. Oh, yes, buttons. I know buttons. I swear.
Button. Where's the button?
No, that's not what I want. Oh, it's that one. See, I know buttons. So let's start right here because it's the first picture I have up. Thanks to somebody. I remember who you got it from, Shawn.
I will say I got it from someone and I don't remember who it was. I am a horrible individual for this and I suck.
But thank you, random Facebook user. We appreciate you. So yes, Mondo at the booth showed off not only their Panther that we'd seen already, but that they are going to have a limited edition flocked Panther. And this, I believe, both versions will be going on sale November of 2023. If I'm recalling correctly, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Because oddly enough, it's been really hard to track down concrete reporting on PowerCon.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if the flocked one is going to be, but I know they said that Panther, the other one, the non-flocked option, that one should be going up in November.
All right. Well, the card right in front of the flocked Panther also
it does.
November.
Well, then there you go. So the one thing
look at us. Investigative reporting. Legends of Grayskull podcast.
This is why we don't go to PowerCon. These guys. No, I also heard and I have not gotten any confirmations one way or the other, but apparently the flocked one is offering things that the other one doesn't. Other than the flocking, I don't know what that means. But I've heard like in rumors, I guess. Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt as well. But yes, it is funny. There is going to be the flocked one as well as the non-flocked option. And
honestly, the flocking looks great. Well, at this point, I'm sure I'll pass on Panther because I wasn't even able to make Battle Cat work. So what's the point of having a Panther without a Battle Cat? But if I were to get a Panther, I think I'd have to go for the flocking here, which I'm usually not a fan of. But the way they've done it here, where you can still, it just accentuates the sculpt instead of hiding the sculpt, which is usually my problem. All the flocked Panthers, like it loses all the detail and it's just flocked. But this picture here looks amazing, and it's still got all the detail. If anything, I think the detail pops better with the flocking. So yeah, if I was gonna get one, I would have to go flocked here.
I personally, I appreciate they're doing this because obviously we grew up with both the Flock Panther and non-Flock Battle Cat. I think Classics kind of broke me of that tradition because Classics had the non-flocked Panther, and I like that one still. So I'd probably go for non-flocked if Panther was an option for me, and I don't know. As of right now, I think there might be one more Mondo I attempt to do, and then I need to cool it for quite a while with finances and stuff. So I don't know if Panther is even on my must-have list right now. It was at one point, but another one is a little more must-have for me that's coming up soon. But I love that it is an option for anyone who is. Panther's got to be flocked. There's no way around it. It's like, okay, then you got your flocked option.
Agreed. All right, let's take a look at Beastman. So he is finally finished, and he will be available September of 2023 for $275. You can't see in this picture, but in addition to all his usual armor, he's got the spiked knuckles. He also comes with alternate heads, his gun from the 87 movie, his whip, and a goblet and a hunk of meat, very reminiscent of the Filmation episode where he and Trapjaw get that power medallion. And I feel horrible because I can't remember the name of the episode now. Shawn, what do you think about Beastman?
This is the one that I have. So they've been revealing him over the last few months, and this one for me is like the same awe I had when they finally showed, here's Deluxe He-Man, we're giving you the version you've wanted. And I know there are people, he is a larger figure. Like if you put He-Man, you can see it if you're watching the video, at least here, you can see he is a larger figure. It's not just perspective on this photo, but he is at least a head taller than the Deluxe He-Man, which is already 12 inches tall. So he might be about 14 inches, maybe. And I know there's some people that they're just like, what the hell? Like, why is he bigger and all this stuff? And for me, I'm like, I always thought he should be. Yeah. I always figured the height difference in the figure when we grew up was just they weren't making scale.
Right.
Like, they always made him look a little more bigger and lumbering to me when I was a kid. So the fact he's a bigger figure. I mean, he was a bigger figure. He was a bigger. I don't know if you want to go there or not, but like 2000X, he was bigger. But also, even in the movie, he's a little bigger than Dolph Lundgren and stuff. So I'm like, it works for me on that level. The detail alone is gorgeous in this. To me, it's probably the best Beastman I've ever seen.
Yeah, and they kept the vintage proportions where he's got the longer arms and down to the skinny waist and everything. Yep. Like it's so, you look at that vintage figure and he's got that same shape where it's like the wide shoulders down to the waist, the shorter legs and the longer arms. I'd really love to see, because these Mondos are actually pretty articulated. I'd love to see him in like a hunched over with like one hand on the ground and one hand back, kind of like a crouching, lumbering gorilla pose.
Yeah.
Which I think you probably could be able to do with him, or at least get him close, and you see that lots of fan art, especially, they'll do that kind of pose where he's like, on a tree branch, like kind of crouched and everything, almost Spider-Man like he, he doesn't walk like a person. He's an ape man.
He's a knuckle dragger. Yeah,
exactly.
That's the version I like. I know one, and he's a big Mondo fan. Loves the mini comics like I do, and all that stuff. And we talked about it once, and he was livid over the fact that this figure is now bigger than He-Man. Because then he's like, look at all the other stuff. It never. I'm like, I don't get it. I like. It works for me.
I feel like that artwork from the beginning of the line was like that, though.
Yeah.
And I get the toys were all, but like that was the toys. But like I feel like he's always been portrayed as that bigger thing, you know, swinging through the vine jungle and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the hardest thing for me right now is if anybody goes, you know, what's your favorite Mondo? If somebody like put a gun to my head and I had to choose, I could choose right now because I love that we got the deluxe He-Man. Deluxe Skeletor is now a thing, and now we have Beast Man, and there's Battle Cat, and there's I'm like. That's where my beginning of the line started, and I'm good there. Like I don't want to go back, except for maybe a Man at Arms if possible one day. Because since it Beast Man now, it's like, well, I got to get a Man at Arms eventually because it just equality there between the two. But yeah, I mean, he might be the best Mondo in my opinion to date, and I'll have to see. Like if I do go in on this one. I have to definitely cool my jets for quite a while. But and Klarna Skavarna will not be my nickname for probably 18 months or so because I really got to calm down. But yeah, like I won't be upset if this is the last one I can get for a foreseeable time because I think he's going to be freaking gorgeous to be looking at and to be posing and figure out how I want to display them. And I mean, the details in and of themselves just on this one figure is amazing.
Right. All right. And then next we got, actually, let's go over here first. Yep, there it is. So thanks to Geek Dad Life over on the Twitter. Can we call it Twitter anymore? X, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks, Elon.
We got our first look at our Tila here, coming with a very early mini comic or concept art spear, her snake staff, multiple heads, her cobra headdress, a shield, sword, and sheath. And this looks all digital renders still. But it looks like you got looks like a classic toy head, a more filmation head, and then the MYP Tila with the longer ponytail. So plenty of options. What do we think about Tila, Shawn?
I like it. We knew she would be coming, and the way I look at it is this is pretty much the way I was hoping she would be.
Yep.
Nothing about there's certain ones like obviously Beast Man was like, oh my god, and like Deluxe Skeletor recently we saw all that stuff. This one is kind of this is here's how to make Tila set. It's like it works in that way. Fans are gonna want this version and they're gonna be happy with this version.
No, I agree. She looks great. She's everything I could think of that you need from her. And yeah, and after having the She-Ra in hand, the female figure base is really good, and honestly, it's probably even better posability wise than the male figures. So yeah, it's weird because it's like Tila is a character that I feel you always need in Masters as far as like the media, the story. But as a figure, she's usually an easy pass for me for some reason. And I don't know why. But just it's one of those weird things with the way my brain logic works. Like, yeah, you have to have Tila for the story, but I don't necessarily have to have Tila on my shelf.
Well, I mean, I don't really have an answer to that because I know when I was a kid, she was one that I had in the collection pretty early. Yep. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel it could be a real estate thing. By that I mean, like the male figures are usually the big chunky figures, so they're more fun to like wrap your hands around and go nuts with when you're a kid. And she was so slender that it was almost like she just felt kind of awkward compared to having all the posability of the other figures and all that kind of stuff, maybe.
Well,
But,
I'm not saying when I'm a kid, like now. When I was
Yeah.
a kid, I played with her all the time. Like,
Oh,
it
okay.
was, maybe that's it, because I'm the same way about Man at Arms now. Like, I can easily skip Man at Arms and not feel like he's missing. But it's the same thing. But for the story, he is an essential character. Maybe it's because of Filmation, honestly, where it's like, okay, it's always He-Man, Teela, Man at Arms. So, like, now with my limited real estate as a collector, I'm like, okay, yeah, Teela, Man at Arms, we've always had them.
Yeah.
I want some of the oddball guys, So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I will say, because I ended up zooming in on this, the one that you're showing here.
Yep.
And there's a few things I like when it comes to the details, though. Like, for starters, she has her shield like the original figure did, but I do like how they have accents now. So it's not just here's this burgundy shield. Now it's here's some gold in there too to go with her armor and all that, which I think pops some. I like that there's even with the top of the armor, there's fur coming out of it. So I like that it's they have these little things to give it. It's not just here's this every version of Teela you've ever seen. There is still the Mondo. We're going to put in a few things to make it a little more unique than just here's what a classics Teela or vintage Teela looked like and all that kind of stuff. And I even like her sword has some paint apps to it. It's not just one color. So yeah, and what's funny is the He-Man, the deluxe He-Man, he didn't have a sheath. And for some reason, Teela has a sheath for her sword, but He-Man still has to just hold the power sword all the time, apparently. So there you go. It's amusing. But even the sheath has some design stuff to it that I think works really well with the way that the figure, their design of it looks. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, it really is. This is bare bone. Here's Teela. You're good to go. If you love her, these are all the options that make sense for the figure.
Did He-Man really not come with a sheath?
He did not come with a sheath. Nope. He literally.
My Skeletor has one. My
My
She-Ra has one.
I don't know deluxe wise if Skeletor has one. I don't have the original Skeletor.
No, I'm saying my Skeletor. I've got the first release. He came with one.
And I think the first He-Man had it too.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like when the deluxe one came out, and even the standard one, because I had both of those, I was like, that's kind of weird. He has no sheath for the sword, but that's something that, like, coming from Filmation and stuff, we always knew there was a sheath on the back of his armor,
Yep.
So it is funny that they didn't worry about that for the Mondo version, but now She-Ra. Now Teela has the sheath, so there you go.
She-Ra, Teela, all of them. Also, like you mentioned, the shield there, and it's obviously got the red accents, but it's also set up in a way that's very similar. They did like a cross on the original He-Man that they released, on his shield, and this one is very complementary to that. So I like that they're like you said, they're continuing their own kind of in-universe schemes along their figures, instead of everybody feeling very disconnected.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the Evelyn 1/6 scale figure, obviously built off of the Teela Buck, with some differences. Very Filmation-esque, white skin, blue purple color scheme with the black cape, and then she will come with Screech with the battle armor and the stand. So, and I'm sure she'll come with a bunch of accessories for herself as well. This one actually is I'll be curious what they do with this, because obviously this is early. This isn't even like the 3D rendering, but it's so Filmation, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, But it's so Filmation that I'm like, it's interesting if this is what they actually release. And they also spelled her name with 2 N's, which is usually not 2 N's. So I'm wondering if that's a typo or if Mattel's doing something different to try and trademark that now.
So no. The I there's definitely, when I saw this, I was like, that's Filmation vibes, but then they have other things about it that made me go, oh, like there is like her purple cloth for the top part of her outfit.
Yeah.
It does continue down into a skirt, which I think is kind of cool too.
Oh yeah, they did do that. A little
So
2000XC.
there's a little 2000X, and the belt part where it has the blue coming down in the center, that's almost modeled after their Skeletor, the way it looks. So in universe, again, the design is being consistent like that, which I like. I do like that that dress piece. Whether or not it's going to be fabric, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it feels like if Mondo did the cartoon, this is how she would have looked, because it doesn't go completely fully Filmation, but it does have enough that I can see why Matt feels that way. But yeah, like for me, this one, like I said, scaling back a bit now, this one for me is probably not even on the list at this point, but I really do. I appreciate what they did with this design, and the fact that Screech is there too. And I love that it's got the battle armor, just like the original toy, and the stand like the toy. So I mean, that one's given more nostalgic vibes than anything, knowing that's going to happen.
Agreed. Sorry, my dogs are getting into things. Yeah, no, it's definitely a good design and everything. It just seeing it here, it's right off the bat just hits you so similar to what we've already had, which is usually not the case with Mondo. Usually Mondo pops you like first you're like, oh my god, that's different. Then you're like, oh no, wait, I see what they like the Beastman. When that was first shown, we're all like, holy shit, they really went a big departure with him. But like really, but then once you start keying in, you're like, no, they really didn't. They just kind of accentuated in everything. So
that could be why she's not as the way that I got about other ones. Like Teal and her are very much like, this is what I thought they would do, and the surprises were pretty minimal, which then makes it like, I love that they're out there. I love that anyone who's a completist or who wants these characters especially can get them that way. But I'll also be curious about the price point, because like for instance, the He-Man deluxe He-Man was $260. $275 for a Beastman from the reports I was hearing. So it's like, for some of for the female figures in particular, there is less plastic. I mean, she is including Screech, but with Teela, they didn't really show anything, like she wasn't coming with Zor or anything.
Yeah, that we know of. I mean, that's
we know of. Yeah.
I mean, and this obviously isn't it, because there's literally no weapons for her.
Yeah.
There's no alternate head. Every Mondo comes with at least a second head. So, I mean, there's definitely going to be some stuff they throw out there. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with her. And obviously, we've talked about it before, Mondo has to get their easy repaints just to help keep the cost down. So, we're going to get a yellow skin down the road. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if for like a designer con or something, they do like a shiny silver and do a movie version off of this,
That'd be cool.
That could be interesting. With the cape and everything else, it'd be pretty easy just to do a new color scheme and have a more movie accurate version of her. So yeah, I'll be curious to see. This is one I'll definitely be watching. And seeing what else they throw in there, because obviously we don't have all the pieces yet. And last up on this post, we have the Disco Skeletor I'm still disappointed that that name stuck for him, but this is obviously based on the last wave of the 2000X line. They did all these crazy repaint color schemes, and the Skeletor got the worst of the bunch. But he's kind of become a fan favorite, and so we've seen him in most things. But the most interesting part is that you get Disco Skeletor, you get the Power Sword, you get the Havoc Staff, but he also comes with the Terror Claws, which I know when we were talking about the Deluxe Skeletor, we both said that's kind of an interesting that they didn't do the Terror Claws in the Deluxe version. Well, here you go. So all you people that were on the fence about getting Disco Skeletor, but absolutely wanted the Terror Claws, Mondo got you, baby. They got you.
Well, they did do that on the Deluxe, though.
Did they?
Yeah.
I thought that was the one they left off.
No, they put them in, but they didn't put in the armor. They gave
That's what it was.
Claws,
Yeah.
because the one image was like him coming up from, it looked like a lava pit in Snake Mountain. He had the claws, but he doesn't have the armor.
They didn't do the full.
Yeah, they didn't do the full thing, which I was completely, Mondo, thank you. Thank you. That's I can't even describe how much I absolutely hate that figure other than the claws when I was a kid. Oh my god. Yeah, this one I'm not gonna lie. There's a part of me that thinks it's kind of fun to have this and make that into the Terror Claws so that my Deluxe could be the Deluxe and just leave them as Skeletor. So there is a part of me that I'm kind of like, because honestly, I got the standard He-Man and I got the Deluxe He-Man, and the only difference with those is the fact the standard only comes with the classic He-Man look. They didn't give him all the different armors. But at the same time, beyond that, you got nothing else different. It was just, here's another He-Man. This, I like the fact that they went here because at least the paint is going to be different. It will be different on the shelf compared to here's 2 or 3 versions of Skeletor, you know? So in that way, I don't know if I'll do it, but if I do, that's my reasoning. Is just it's cool to have the multiple colors on the shelf, and it can be my Terror Claw Skeletor. I'm done then. I'm good. I was actually surprised they went here, to be honest.
Yes and no. It's kind of the same thing. It's like, you gotta, they've got the easy repaint there, and I'm sure that's probably Designer Con next year, honestly.
Yeah.
Because that's usually the kind of stuff they go with for Designer Con, the more flashy colors, a little bit of metallic, fluorescent, Yeah, I'm glad it's out there for the people who want it. And honestly, even looking here, it looks like the Terror Claws are going to they got a little bit of paint app on the tips of the fingers. Like, it looks like there's a little bit of an orange in there. So it doesn't look like it's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we've got the Orko from Mondo. Now, this is interesting, and I haven't seen any clarification. So we've seen the Orko before. He comes with his standard head, then a little bit more Mondo-esque head with the glowy eyes, and he comes with the unmasked head that was revealed in James Eatock's Guide to He-Man in the Masters of the Universe of Filmation series. And then he's got a bunch of hands, some spell effects, his wand. He comes with a little Daimar the Demon. But then it also shows an Orko and Driel that are 100% Filmation. Does he come with 3 minifigures?
He won't take up a lot of real estate in the box, so I almost feel like it makes sense. Because I doubt they're going to be scaling the boxes down for these.
Right.
So,
and he is a smaller figure, so I could definitely see them adding that in. It's just kind of an interesting choice that, like, okay, so you get Mondo Orko, but then you also get like a pure Filmation Orko and Driel, which, I mean, it's not. It's an interesting concept, and I haven't really heard clarification on what those are. Are they the straight PVC figures? Are they like the Baby Cringer that's got a little bit of articulation? You know what I mean? Like, What are we doing here?
I have a feeling they're probably just PVC because the baby Cringer, I don't know. Does his head move?
I believe it's the head and the legs.
Okay, because I saw one review. I'm looking forward to this because I'm supposed to be getting mine Friday, and I'm like, Friday's gonna be back at my house. That's all there is to it. But I felt like that you could see that there was, like, you could almost feel there's joints in the front legs, but then they don't move. It's almost like it was put together that way somehow, even though it's PVC. But I don't know. I just have this feeling what you see here is how they'll look, and that's it. There's probably not poopability to it. And I, like for my money at least, and I think this is probably a nostalgia thing because, like I said, the first of the previously viewed VHS tapes I had when I was a kid, as in like 17 years old kid, it was the Damar the Demon episode, which was the first one I got to see after like 10 years of not watching Masters. So the fact that comes with him makes sense. I like that they did that because that was him wanting his friend and all that. And but yeah, I don't know. Again, not one that I need on the shelf in any way, shape, or form, but the amount of stuff that comes with this is impressive. If you love Orko and if you want to do something that's more Mondo-esque, they give you that option. If you want to do more Filmation-esque, you got that option.
Yep.
They're pretty much covering most bases. I mean, the only one I can think of that they don't cover, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do eventually, is like a Revelation looking one.
Yeah.
Because that was a very unique looking Orko throughout that series too.
I could see them releasing this in white.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that'd be his easy repaint right there. Done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, again, it looks. I love the Mondo twist on it and everything, and I love that Mondo head that they're doing too. And is that a? No, that's just a scarf. I was gonna say is that a ponytail, but it's a scarf. No, but yeah, I love that vibe because it's also got the 2000X kind of vibe to it on top of that. So.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. And then kind of coming out of left field here from Mondo, Masters of the Universe Retro Scareglow 15-inch jumbo soft vinyl figure. So kind of in the vein of those Motu giants that Mattel did years ago, or like the Gentle Giant does with the Star Wars. They are releasing a Scareglow that's very much 5 points of articulation. Looks like it's actually going to have a skeleton encased in the figure.
Yeah.
Like see through. Yeah.
No, that's. I was thinking it reminded me of those like weird models when I was a kid. The human body things, and I love that they're going there with this figure in that way.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't. It's like it's fun that this is going to be a thing. Yet, I don't need it personally.
Yeah, it's weird that it's Mondo doing it. Like they're known for their high end stuff, and now they're like, "Well, we're gonna do 5 POA stuff in 15-inch." I don't know. It's weird.
I'm not. I mean, yeah. This one for me is definitely like okay, but I don't know, like the way the licensing with it, like how Mondo was doing Masters and how Mattel is doing Masters is weird to me in some ways because Mondo is able to be a little more. I feel like they've reined it in a little bit. So I don't know if Mattel is having more of a like, hey, do it like this or whatever. Because we have not gotten, like you said, there has not been a Mondo-esque Evelyn, a Mondo-esque Tila. Orko's the closest to feeling like Mondo is really putting their spin on that compared to how the girl figures are looking at this point. But I don't know. The one cool thing is that feature. Hey, the bones are in there.
Yep.
it's soft and the bones will glow in the dark. Then it gives you the legit, like this is like the most legit scare glow for how he's supposed to work, in my opinion. But it's, yeah, like I like scare glow. He's one of my favorites now after classics and all that. But it's like it's not a must-have just because it's scare glow for me.
Agreed. It'll be interesting to see how far they go with that line.
Yeah.
And then also from Mondo, we've got vehicles.
This is mind-blowing to me for some reason. I don't know why. It's just I figured the cats would be it. If we got Battle Cat, we got Panther, and they'd probably go, "You're good," because those are the main thing. No, apparently we aren't good because this.
Yep. So we got the 6-scale Sky Sled. Comes with various laser beam attachments. And yeah, it's a Sky Sled in 6 scale. I mean, it looks just like the vintage. There is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually cool that it looks like the compartment comes off and you can actually see the engine work inside.
Yep. Yeah, the side was a sticker on the old one.
Yeah, the sticker I guess it's a panel now that just comes off.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing that, which I like. And I mean, it feels this feels so vintage. It's like I can almost feel the carpet in my living room growing up as a kid. And I slide it across it and stuff. I can almost have that like the sensory nostalgia kicking in on that level too. But even like looking at the stickers that we can see in this image, it's like they really made you feel like this is your childhood brought to life again.
Yep. I don't feel I need any vehicles for a 6-scale line though. That's my own, like, how big is this thing gonna be? I mean, you've already seen how big Battle Cat is. Like, it's got to be that size at least.
In the last week, I know in the Mondo group I'm a part of, there's a guy that's also in the Cabal, Eric Miller. He got a Battle Cat last week, and he had it on his desk where he does his customs, and he has a kitten next to Battle Cat, and the kitten and Battle Cat are the same sizes.
Yeah.
And when I showed my kids that, my son actually, his eyes were like so wide. He goes, "Dad, where are you putting that?" And I go, "I honestly did not think that through when I ordered it. Like it's like I really wanted it, and now that it's literally a couple days away, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to clean off enough room quickly enough, so I'm going to have to figure the real estate of that out." But I think if they do a full-on battle ram using this, I don't think they will. But I also, up until PowerCon, did not think this would even be a thing.
Right.
So.
No, I mean, it looks great and everything, and unlimited money, unlimited space, absolutely. But yeah, as it stands right now, I can't imagine the price point, the space, everything else. Just Mondo is really pushing it up here.
Well, remember how, and we don't need to get into the whole thing of the history of that, but remember how apparently in April the line was dead for Masters.
Oh yeah.
And it's like after the deluxe He-Man with the body that would come apart and that was just released, and there were all these people with the QC complaints and this and that and all that stuff around the holidays. But then their QC complaints were answered. They were sent out stuff that actually worked, and everything was good to go from Mondo's perspective. And then there was like a whole group of people online doing the whole, well, the line's dead, they can't even make this work, and blah blah blah. And it's like, this to me is them going, hold our beer, because it's like, not only is this going to still go, now you're going to get stuff that you had no idea we were even going to get into, but here it is.
Yep. And speaking of that, also got a horse coming, and not the horse you'd think would come first. So we've got Nightmare which is a skeletal winged horse to accompany Scareglow, I believe created by Florian Bertmer.
As far as I know, that is the case, because the post that I saw, this is him doing a Scareglow steed, and obviously that has not been in any of the lore to this point.
Nope.
So yeah, it's like I'm gonna feel bad for Matt, because I know when he saw this, the first thing that he said was, shit, they're gonna do Swiftwind, aren't they?
They are. 100%. They've got all the body here. They've got the wing attachments. You just need different wings and take the flames off the hooves. Like,
Yep.
And I'm sure that's all going to be plug and play modular. But yeah, Nightmare here. We've got, like I said, a vaguely skeletal horse, green and white for the horse body, which I assume is going to be glow in the dark, and then purple armor to go atop them. Flames off the hooves, flaming tail, flaming mane looks like. And fun fact, Nightmare was the concept name for Night Stalker during the development stages. So nice little throwback with the name while giving us an all new character. But yeah, definitely Swiftwind's not far down the line. This guy looks great. If this was Masterverse or even Origins, like, I would probably pick him up. But again, like, space. If I'm gonna throw a 1/6 scale horse on my shelf, it is going to be Swiftwind. So yeah, but this figure looks great, amazing design. I hope to see it become a part of Masters lore. Like, Axel has gotten with Fangor and Lady Slither. I hope Nightmare continues throughout the lines and the property for years to come.
Yeah. I did not expect, like, that brings a character to a whole new level if they have a steed. Like, that's part of why, like, for me, when I was a kid, Fisto he was above and beyond some of the other figures for me, because he also had Stridor. And I know He-Man could also use Stridor, but I always had like, Battle Cat is He-Man's, Fisto has Stridor. And same with Jitsu to an extent. I know that one's not quite as prevalent for some people, but anytime that you start doing that, there is this almost like a ranking that amps them up a bit more. And I'd say with how popular he's gotten in the last, since the debut of the figure, he is one of the figures that makes sense to do this with. So the fact that Mondo's going there, I think, is cool. I think it works overall, the look of it. And honestly, like, Scareglow has always given me that, like, Headless Horseman vibe anyway, so why not give him a horse? It worked on that level.
No, completely agree. So great showing from Mondo at PowerCon. That line is cranking.
Yeah. Sorry, bullets.
Yeah.
They're not sorry, but I feel bad. Now that I'm collecting these, I'm feeling the pinch a lot, so I get it.
Absolutely. So last up here, we've got from Ramen Toys, who are the masters of... I don't know what they're the masters of. Honestly, they're the most confusing company here. Basically, they take copyrighted material and somehow still release it, with it being, in my mind, way too close to copyright. But they show that they are going to do Masters of the Universe-esque figures, and they showed off their not He-Man and not Skeletor prototypes. Shawn, what do you think of these toys?
These shocked me because, like you said, Ramen is the kind of company that they basically take IPs that have been dormant for quite a while and then they'll do their own. The closest to this we've gotten was the Silverhawk. They had the Quicksilver come out, but other than that, they've been going after like Mask, which Mask is long dormant since the '80s, and they did Brave Star, which again long dormant since the '80s, and from what I understand, they are trying to go to Mattel and get the licensing rights to be able to do this. Which I don't know how that'll work, because I feel like other than what Mondo and like Tweeterhead does statues and stuff, but Mattel has like grabbed everything and pulled it in. Right before Revelation hit, and obviously Origins and Masterverse. So I'm like, these are in the same scale as Masterverse, if I understood correctly, which makes me go, I don't know how this is going to work if they get, like, I don't know how that's going to be able to get them the license, because it really is like, if you don't like their version, we have our version, and that's taking money from Mattel, even if they pay the licensing to them. So I will say, now these are test shots or prototypes. They're not painted in anything. But I will say, from what I see here, I got to admit, I actually dig what they do more than the Masterverse stuff, though. I like the details that are in here. Some of the sculpt for both actually works. I do not like the He-Man head that they have on him.
No.
But they have two other options that either or of those would be perfectly fine. The version that is on the figure in the photo looks a lot like any wrestler circa 1995. Yep. Slick back hair and the mullet looking. And it's like, I don't know why they even had to go there, other than trying not to make him look identical to He-Man, I guess. But I've never had any of their toys. I don't know the quality. I don't know anything about that. But from a looks perspective, I'm digging what they have here, from the details and the stuff with their armor. I'm not a big fan of the sheaths for the sword, though.
That looked pretty janky on the back.
Yeah, not a fan of that. But I also haven't been the most. I haven't been collecting Masterverse or Origins, and I feel like this is more in line with what I was thinking Mattel was supposed to be doing, which then, again, I don't expect these to be a thing, because I think Mattel will tell them no.
Yeah.
So then they'll probably have to redo something to make them a ramen version, and then I don't know if I'd care either.
Yeah. I'm not sure I care right now, to be honest with you. It's one of those things where it's like, it's so close, but they're also not really doing anything. They're not doing anything revolutionary, to coin a little bit of a pun there. I don't know. It's like they just are, They look like the kind of figures, and no disrespect to anybody, but like they're the kind of figures that, a customizer would make up for himself. And I don't know. It's like they're not close enough for me, but they're also not far enough from me. For me, they don't offer anything new and exciting, but they're also not strictly any version. So I'm just like, There's some good design work on there. But yeah, nothing that really gets me excited. So.
I feel like the He-Man to a lesser extent, but the Skeletor I feel like does. It's almost like paring down a Mondo of like what Mondo would have, like the initial Mondo Skeletor.
Yeah,
this has vibes of that more than Skeletor in the way that Mattel does it. So that's kind of why when I look at that, I'm like, all right. And honestly, like Mattel also has had an issue for me. Like I've had a few Masterverse figures. I don't have them anymore because those figures, like there's something with the plastic I don't like. It feels like the plastic is kind of too gummy or something. It doesn't feel like the other figures on my shelf. And this, again, prototypes, but it looks more solid even with this than what Mattel has been doing, and that's part of why I'm like, all right. But number one, it would be the price point, because I think a lot of their figures are going for like quite a lot more. Like the mask, they call it Gullwing, I think. The Thunderhawk, that's going for over $100 some bucks. I don't know what the Silverhawk figure was, but they're definitely not going to be, $25-$30, I'm sure.
Right.
So,
Yeah. They're trying. They're doing it. All right. I think that was everything I've got out of PowerCon. So, it's not the Motu centric con anymore. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, like those reveals were enough for me to go, well, it feels like Mondo and apparently Ramen now are like saving things for this.
Yeah.
But it's like now there's a ton of different things coming out of it, and
that's it. Don't get me wrong. Like, there was a ton of toy reveals out of PowerCon over the weekend. I was just merely saying, it's not like it used to be where it's like PowerCon was the weekend for Masters of the Universe news.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely other stuff out there. We might touch on some of it on Offworld this week. Definitely check out. I didn't catch Shooting the Shelf this week. I don't know if you did, Shawn.
I did not. It's been one of those busy times for work right now.
Yeah, busy here too. Tackle football started up, so that's my weekends right there with my son and everything else going on. But I assume Jesse has shared his experiences on PowerCon. If not, we'll talk about it a little bit this Friday on Offworld. Make sure you check that out. We're going to be talking about some of our favorite vintage play sets.
And some that we wish we had.
Yep.
Not just ones we did have. So that, and we're going to be, I can't wait. We're going to be doing the follow-up to the Have You Ever with Curtis's Cloak and Dagger movie, which that one Jesse rented and we watched it this past weekend, and we kind of mystery science theater through the entire thing. I'll admit that much at least.
I should probably watch that at some point.
You might want to.
Yeah. I'll see if I can fit into my schedule. Anything else you got, Shawn, before we log off here?
Nope. Like Matt said, just Friday night, 9:00, we'll be doing Friday night, 9:00 Eastern Standard Time, we're doing Offworld. And beyond that.
And that is a live show, so make sure you check it out. Join us live in the chat. It's a whole different kind of beast there. So, and that is only on YouTube. Search Let's Go Offworld Podcast, and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. While you're subscribing and ringing bells, subscribe on us, please, and thank you. We are still almost to 1,000. I know there's at least 30 of you watching that have not subscribed yet, so hit that. If you're on our audio platform, trust me, I get it. I only listen to audio podcasts myself. Take a second, go over to YouTube, click the subscribe. Even if you follow us on audio, we'd really appreciate it. So.
Yep, agreed.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Let us know your comments. Send us an email, logpod85@gmail.com. You can comment on the video. You can message Shawn or me directly, or you can join our Legendati Facebook group. If I remember, I'll drop a link down in the description. If not, search Legendati. And that is where you go to discuss all of the Legendsverse family of podcasts. That gets you Legends of Grayskull, Offworld, and Shooting the Shelf by the wonderful Jesse Arnold. And then there's like a Curtis guy on there too. So thank you guys for tuning in. And until next time, I'll be on eBay searching for magic window videos.
Oh, come on.